Sorry, Vanessa said, stepping in front of the long table before Mara could set down her gift. That table's reserved for family. Then she pointed, not to another place setting, not to an empty chair near their parents, to one single seat wedged beside the service station, where waiters stacked dirty plates and pushed through the kitchen door every few seconds. For a moment, nobody breathed. Mara stood there with the wrapped anniversary present in both hands, staring at the gold candles, the white roses, the banner that said Happy 40th anniversary, Mom and Dad. Her parents were seated at the center. Her cousins were there. Her aunt and uncle were there. Even Vanessa's boyfriend, who had known the family for 6 months, had a chair at the table. Then one cousin snorted. Vanessa's smile widened. Mara felt every face turn toward her, waiting to see whether she would finally make the scene they always accused her of making. The private room at Belafia looked like the kind of place where families pretended nothing ugly had ever happened. Low lights, linen napkins, wine glasses lined up like tiny crystal towers. The smell of garlic butter and seared steak drifted through the room, but all Mara could hear was the faint scrape of chair legs as people shifted, uncomfortable but not uncomfortable enough to speak. Their mother looked down at her plate. Their father cleared his throat and adjusted his napkin. Vanessa gave a soft little laugh. There must have been a mix-up, she said, loud enough for the table to hear. You know how restaurants are. But her eyes said there was no mix-up. Mara looked at the chair again. It sat beside a tray stand, close enough to the service station that a waiter would have to turn sideways to pass her. A stack of menus leaned against the wall behind it. No flowers, no name card, no view of her parents unless she twisted halfway around. Vanessa, Mara said quietly. What? Vanessa tilted her head. Don't start, it's Mom and Dad's night. That was the trap, it always was. If Mara left, Vanessa would say she had ruined the anniversary. If Mara argued, Vanessa would say she was jealous. If Mara cried, everyone would stare into their wineglasses and wait for her to stop. So Mara walked to the single chair and sat down alone. A waiter appeared beside her with a water glass. He was young, maybe mid-20s, with a black apron tied too tightly around his waist. Still or sparkling? Still, Mara said. He poured, then glanced toward the family table. His expression shifted for only a second. Not pity, not confusion. Warning. Across the room, Vanessa lifted her glass. To Mom and Dad, she announced, and to the people who actually show up for family. A few people murmured cheers. Mara kept her hands folded in her lap. Then the orders started arriving at the family table. Bottles of premium red wine, seafood towers glittering with crushed ice, steaks, lobster pasta, champagne, desserts with little anniversary candles. No one asked Mara what she wanted. When the meal ended, the waiter returned carrying a black bill folder, but instead of placing it at Vanessa's end of the table, he set it directly in front of Mara. The total showed $2,850. Vanessa leaned back, watching. The waiter looked at Mara, as if he already knew what she was going to say. Mara looked from the bill to the table she had not been allowed to sit at. Then she smiled. Not my table. The room went silent. And then the manager stepped forward and said, Then we need to talk about who changed the seating chart. Vanessa's chair scraped back so hard the silverware jumped. Excuse us, she said, but it was not a request. She grabbed Mara by the elbow and steered her toward the short hallway near the restrooms, smiling at the room until they passed the wine cabinet. The second they were out of clear view, her fingers dropped from Mara's arm like touching her had been a favor. What is wrong with you? Vanessa hissed. Mara held the black bill folder against her side. Me. Yes, you. Vanessa's voice was low, sharp, and familiar. You could not let Mom and Dad have one peaceful night. Mara looked past her shoulder. At the family table, everyone was pretending to talk, but no one was moving. Their aunt had her fork halfway to her mouth. One cousin was staring openly. You sat me beside the service station, Mara said. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Oh my God, it was a seating issue. You told me the family table was reserved for family. You always do this. Vanessa stepped closer. You turn quiet, then punish everybody. The reservation is under your card. Refusing to pay now just makes you look petty. The word card pulled Mara's focus tighter. 3 weeks earlier, Vanessa had called her during tax season, voice sweet and breathless. "Mom and Dad deserve one perfect night," she had said. "I just need you to wire the deposit. 600, I'll handle everything else." Mara had sent it before the call ended. Now Vanessa was acting like Mara had volunteered to host the whole dinner. Mara opened the folder and looked at the total again. Why did the manager say someone changed the seating chart? Vanessa's mouth tightened. Because restaurants make mistakes. "I got a confirmation email this morning," Mara said. "The layout was revised." For half a second, Vanessa stopped blinking. Then she laughed. "There it is, the accountant routine. You brought receipts to Mom and Dad's anniversary." Before Mara could answer, their mother appeared at the hallway entrance, one hand pressed to her pearl necklace. "Girls," she whispered, "please, people are staring." Vanessa turned instantly, face softening like a curtain dropping. "I'm trying, Mom. Mara's refusing to cover the dinner she insisted on hosting." Mara looked at her mother. Then at Vanessa. "Hosting," she said. Vanessa touched their mother's arm. "Let's not do this here." But the word stayed in the hallway after they walked back. "Hosting." Mara had never said she was hosting. She had reserved the room. She had paid the deposit. She had agreed to help. That was different. When she sat down again beside the service station, the bill was still in her hand, but now she was no longer staring at the number. She was watching Vanessa. Because if Vanessa only wanted to embarrass her, why did she need everyone to believe Mara was the host? Vanessa did not wait for Mara to sit fully before she stood at the head of the family table. "Everyone," she said, tapping one red nail against her wineglass. "I'm sorry, but apparently there's a problem." Mara froze with one hand still on the back of the single chair. Vanessa looked straight at her, then widened her eyes as if Mara had forced her into this. "Mara is making the waiter uncomfortable because she doesn't want to pay for the anniversary dinner she offered to cover." The words landed harder because Vanessa said them calmly. Their aunt turned in her seat. "Mara, is that true?" One cousin muttered, "She always acts like this because she handles numbers." Mara's father looked at the bill folder, then at Mara, but he said nothing. Vanessa saw the silence and used it. She pointed at the waiter. "Just run her card, it's on file." The waiter did not move. Mara set the bill folder on her single table and stood. The room quieted in pieces, first her cousins, then her aunt, then the clink of her mother's bracelet against her glass. "No," Mara said. "Before anyone charges my card, I want the original reservation file and any signed add-on forms." Vanessa gave a bright, brittle laugh. "Really, you're turning Mom and Dad's anniversary into an audit?" "I'm asking for paperwork," Mara said. "That should not scare anyone." The waiter glanced at the manager, who stepped forward with a leather binder already tucked under one arm. "The private room was reserved under Ms. Mara Ellis's name," the manager said carefully, "with a fixed anniversary menu attached to the reservation." Vanessa nodded fast. "Exactly." But the manager continued. "The premium wine, seafood towers, additional desserts and champagne toast were approved later by the family table. Those upgrades were not part of Ms. Ellis's original agreement." Mara's mother looked up. Her aunt lowered her fork. Vanessa's boyfriend slowly set down his glass. Vanessa's smile twitched. "Mara approved those by text." Mara turned to her. "Show the texts." "My phone is dead." The lie came too quickly. Mara looked at the phone sitting face up beside Vanessa's plate. Its screen lit with a notification. Their mother saw it too, then looked at the charger sticking out of Vanessa's open purse. For the first time all night, the table did not immediately side with Vanessa. Mara kept her voice steady. "I did not sit at that table. I did not order from that table. I did not drink that wine, eat that seafood, or approve that champagne." Vanessa's face changed. "Not fear yet. Calculation." The waiter reached for the black folder, but Vanessa moved first. She snatched it from his hand, yanked out the signed receipt slip, and tore it straight down the middle. The torn paper fluttered onto the white tablecloth. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then the manager stepped between Vanessa and the waiter. "Ma'am," he said, and his voice was no longer polite in the soft restaurant way. Please do not touch restaurant records. Vanessa lifted both hands with a laugh that sounded too thin. It ripped. Relax, it's just a receipt. It was an authorization slip, the manager said. The word authorization changed the room. Mara watched Vanessa's boyfriend lean back from the table, his shoulder pulling away from hers. Their mother's fingers tightened around her napkin. Their father looked at the torn pieces like they were no longer paper, but proof. Vanessa's face hardened. This is ridiculous. You people are acting like I committed a crime over dinner. The manager did not answer immediately. He turned to the waiter. Please bring the duplicate copy from the front desk. Vanessa's eyes snapped to him. Duplicate? Yes, the manager said. We keep copies. The waiter left quickly. Now the only sound in the private room was the kitchen door swinging behind Mara's single chair. In, out, like a clock counting down. Mara looked at the seating chart still clipped inside the manager's binder. She could see her own name typed at the end, beside the service station, separate from the table labeled ELLIS family. That layout, Mara said. Who requested it? The manager glanced at Vanessa. Vanessa folded her arms. Don't look at me like that. I came early because I was helping. You told our staff, the manager said carefully, that Ms. Mara Ellis preferred to sit separately because of family tension. Mara's mother inhaled sharply. Mara did not speak. Vanessa turned on her. Oh, please, you were always going to make everyone uncomfortable. I just tried to keep the night smooth. By putting me beside dirty plates, Mara asked. Vanessa's voice rose. By preventing exactly this. Her father finally leaned forward. Vanessa. No, Dad, Vanessa snapped. She has the money. She always has the money, and somehow everyone acts like asking her to help is abuse. There it was. Not the full truth, but the shape of it. Mara remembered the revised email that morning, the waiter's warning look, Vanessa saying host like it had already been decided, the bill placed in front of the one person who had been kept away from every order on it. Mara looked at the manager, who signed the upgrade approval. Vanessa pointed at him. You cannot discuss private billing in front of everyone. Their father's chair creaked as he stood. No, he said, say it. The waiter returned with a printed copy. He placed it beside the torn slip, but kept one hand on the page. Vanessa pushed back from the table as if she might leave. Before she could take a step, their mother reached out and caught her wrist. Not hard, just enough. Vanessa, she whispered, staring at the paper, tell me you didn't. The manager lowered his hand from the printed copy. The signature at the bottom was not Mara's. It was Vanessa Ellis. No one spoke at first. Vanessa's mother was still holding her wrist, but her grip loosened as if she no longer had the strength to keep her there. Vanessa stared at the paper, then looked around the table, searching for the person who would rescue her first. Mara agreed, Vanessa said quickly. She knew she always knew. Mara shook her head once. No. The manager opened the binder fully. The original agreement was made 3 weeks ago under Ms. Mara Ellis's name. It covered the private room deposit and the fixed anniversary menu. Her card was placed on file for that agreement only. He pointed to the first page. Any upgrades, added bottles, menu changes, or table-specific orders required separate approval from the table ordering them. Vanessa's father reached for the page but stopped before touching it. And the upgrades. The manager slid the second paper forward. Approved tonight, signed by Vanessa Ellis. Vanessa pulled her hand away from their mother. Because I was coordinating, that doesn't mean I was paying. You signed the authorization, the manager said, and you requested the changes. Mara's aunt looked at the seafood tower sitting half empty in the center of the family table. The champagne flutes, the dessert plates, the premium wine bottles. Vanessa's boyfriend turned slowly toward her. You told me Mara had already paid for the deposit. Vanessa's mouth opened. Nothing came out. He looked at the manager. Did she? The manager checked the binder. The $600 deposit was paid by Ms. Mara Ellis. Vanessa's boyfriend sat back like he had been pushed. Mara finally spoke. Her voice was quiet. But everyone heard it. Vanessa called me and said Mom and Dad deserved one perfect night. She said her card was between billing cycles, so I sent the deposit and put mine on file for the fixed menu. That was all. Her mother sank slowly into her chair. Mara, she whispered. But Mara did not look away from Vanessa. And this morning, Mara continued, I received a confirmation email with a revised seating chart. My name had been moved away from the family table, so I called the restaurant. Vanessa's eyes flashed. You what? I called, Mara said, and told the manager I would only pay for the seat assigned to me unless I personally approved anything else. The waiter, standing near the service station, looked down at the floor. Mara glanced at him. That's why you looked at me when the bill came. He nodded once. I needed to know if you were accepting the charge. The whole room seemed to shrink around Vanessa. Their father picked up the folded anniversary toast card beside his plate. He looked at the handwritten title on the front, then folded it in half without reading a word. Their mother stared at the place setting in front of Mara's empty chair at the family table, the chair that should have been there, but wasn't. You told them she wanted to sit alone, she asked Vanessa. Vanessa's face twisted. I told them there was tension, there is tension. You made it, her mother said. That sentence hit harder than anyone raising their voice. The manager closed the binder. Ms. Mara Ellis will not be responsible for the family table's upgrades. Her charge is limited to the fixed menu seat assigned to her. I didn't even eat, Mara said. I understand, the manager replied. We can remove the meal charge and keep only the room portion already covered by the deposit. Mara nodded. That's fine. Then the manager placed the $2,850 bill directly in front of Vanessa. Vanessa stared at it as though it might disappear if she refused to blink. I'm not paying that, she said. The manager's expression stayed calm. Then we will file an incident report and pursue payment through the signed authorization. Vanessa turned to her boyfriend. Can you please just... No, he said immediately. You told me this was handled. She looked at her father next. He did not soften. Don't look at me, he said, not after this. The family table, the one Vanessa had guarded like a throne, became the place where nobody reached for her hand. Her aunt pushed her chair back. One cousin who had laughed earlier stared at the floor. Another whispered, I thought Mara was being dramatic. Mara heard it, but she did not answer. Her mother removed the stack of family medical forms from her purse, the ones Vanessa had been carrying around for weeks, claiming she was keeping everyone organized. She placed them on the table in front of herself. You are not handling our paperwork anymore, she told Vanessa. No bills, no reservations, no accounts, nothing. Vanessa's face went pale. Mom. Her father looked at Mara. Send me the emails, all of them. Vanessa snapped her head toward him. Why? Because now I want to know what else you arranged for us. That was when Vanessa finally looked smaller than Mara remembered. Not sorry, not broken, just cornered without the family silence she had always counted on. Mara walked back to the single chair beside the service station. She picked up the small wrapped gift she had placed under it before dinner. The paper had a faint grease mark on one corner from being too close to the tray stand. She carried it to her parents near the doorway. Her mother stood, eyes wet. Mara, I should have said something. Yes, Mara said, you should have. Her mother flinched. Mara handed her the gift anyway. Open it when you get home. Inside was a framed photo from their first year of marriage, one Mara had found in an old album and restored herself. No diamonds, no performance, just her parents standing in front of a rented apartment, young and laughing, before dinners became battlegrounds and seating charts became weapons. Her mother held the package against her chest. Can we talk tomorrow? Mara looked past her, to where Vanessa was still sitting with the bill in front of her, and no one volunteering to save her. I don't need another whispered apology after public silence, Mara said. I need actions. Then she left. Months later, Mara stopped going anywhere her place in the room depended on Vanessa's permission. No more holiday dinners, where she found out the time had changed after everyone else arrived. No more family group chats where Vanessa controlled what Mara knew, and when she knew it. No more paying quietly just to be treated like an outsider with a wallet. The next dinner Mara hosted was at a small neighborhood restaurant with brick walls, paper menus, and one round table. No head seat. No private rooms. No service station, chair hidden in the corner. Her parents arrived early. When Mara walked in, her mother was already sitting with one hand resting on the chair beside her. "I saved you a seat," she said. Mara looked at the chair, then at her father who stood when she approached. For the first time in years, nobody laughed. Nobody corrected her. Nobody made her prove she belonged before letting her sit down. Mara learned that night that being family was never about where Vanessa seated her. It was about who finally stood up when she refused to pay for a table that had never made room for her.